Now at noon, closing arguments are happening in the trial of a man accused of shooting and killing an 8-year-old girl during police protests here in Atlanta in 2020. Julian Conley is charged with murder, aggravated assault, and violating Georgia's Street Gang Terrorism and Prevention Act. Atlanta News First reporter Yasmina Austin joins us from the Fulton County Courthouse. Yasmina.
Yeah, and right now both sides are making their final arguments in this case before the jury decides if Julian Conley is guilty or not guilty of killing 8-year-old Sequoia Turner. This was a case that has had a lot of attention around it because Sequoia was a child in the car with her mom and her mom's boyfriend on the night of July 4th in 2020. Prosecutors claim Conley fired the fatal shot into their car as they drove past the burned down Wendy's restaurant on University Avenue, an area with armed protesters where there was already ongoing unrest after the shooting of Rayshard Brooks by a police officer. But Conley's attorneys maintain he is innocent, and the testimony from Atlanta Police Detective Shepard, who was the lead on the case, wasn't reliable. Meanwhile, prosecutors are also going after Conley for alleged gang ties in relation to the crime.
This defendant was a gang member. This defendant used his gang membership to commit criminal acts.
When you rush to justice by rushing to Julian and Shepard is your shepherd, you're left with lies, half-truths, exaggeration, and conflation.
And the jury heard from a lot of witnesses during this trial. Once closing arguments finish, they will take what they've heard and they'll take the evidence and begin to deliberate. Live at the Fulton County Courthouse, Yasmina Alston, Atlanta News First.